All right, so now I'm on my final point about Tomi Lahren, why we should feel sorry for women like Tomi Lahren. And I want to talk about she's a narcissist, but she's not a manipulator. Okay. Tomi Lahren is a narcissist. She's full of ego. She's selfish. And she's kind of stupid for putting out that video. But she's not a manipulator. Many women are manipulators. I've been studying this book called The Female Predator, wherein I think the first, maybe even the introduction, first chapter for sure, the author talks about how women will transform themselves into chameleons to be whatever they feel like men want. And this is a form of deception, right? I've met women like that. I've dated women like this. My last girlfriend was like this, and it messed me up for a lot of years because she pretended to be what I wanted so that she could get me. And I was, an alpha at the time when I met her. I had a lot of selection. I was banging a lot of women, and she sort of read me and figured out what I wanted. I wanted a sweet, nice girl who was sort of submissive and innocent, and she played like that so she could get what she wanted from me, which was a relationship. And the moment that I started to act beta towards her, I lost my value. And she realized, wait a minute, this guy's not acting alpha anymore. He's supplicating to me. He's acting beta, so I don't want him anymore. And she subsequently dumped me and went out and found a guy with a nice house and who had money, and he was a beta. So this is sort of how warped women are. They try to manipulate men through whatever kind of behavior that they feel that the man wants. And usually it's, like I mentioned in a previous video, it's through sex. They will use sex as a bartering tool, as a manipulation tool to get men into a relationship. So Tomi Lahren is not one of these women right now, at least, because she's successful. Okay, she doesn't have to manipulate. At least she thinks so, right? There may be a time when she might have to manipulate her with her personality, because right now she's so high status, socially and financially, that she feels she's entitled to a high quality man. And that's what this video with her is all about. She has an entitlement attitude where she feels like she can get the high quality man and she shouldn't have to work for it. And he has to be simultaneously alpha as well as, everything she wants, supplicating to her, and beta. And I said, in a past video, that if he does that, she probably won't like him anymore. So really what she's talking about is nonsense, because it's not what she really wants. Women say they really want, a certain type of guy, but yet they chase the opposite type of guy. They say they want a nice guy. They say they want a guy who takes them on dates, who plans things, that does all these nice things for them. But then they get bored of that guy, and then they go chase the alpha up until they hit the wall, and they're forced to settle with that nice guy. And they will eventually settle with that nice guy. There's a video out there somewhere I had on my old channel of a clip with this woman saying nice guys do finish last, and making the point that, oh, don't worry, nice guys, we'll get around to you eventually. And I just laughed and laughed, because it's hilariously true that they will get around to the nice guys eventually after they're done riding the cock carousel. They will chase Chad and suck and fuck and swallow gallons and gallons of DNA. And eventually, once they hit the wall, or they get pregnant, or they get an STD, or some such circumstance causes them to, have to jump off the cock carousel, they will gravitate towards the nice guy, right? And then they'll, at that point, if they are narcissistic like Tomi Lahren, starting out, they will have to adjust their behavior. Circumstances causes people to adapt. That's just a fact, right? Was it Thomas Edison or was it Benjamin Franklin? One of these guys said, necessity is the mother of all invention, right? Once you are forced through necessity to do something, you will get creative and you will adapt and you will evolve, and women do this, and they will continue to do this once they hit the wall, once they can no longer chase Chad and suck and fuck, then they will settle down with the nice guy and settle into that domestic life with Mr. Beta Bucks, right? So Tomi Lahren is not at that point yet. She is still in her egotistical phase, her selfish phase, her narcissistic phase, and she is not at all a manipulator, right? She's just simply entitled, right? She thinks she's hot and successful, and that's all she needs in life to land top men. And I bet you a shiny nickel that she's sleeping with all these guys that she is dating in Texas and New York and California or wherever the hell she's globetrotting to. I bet you anything she's getting drilled balls deep by these guys, because women today in the dating, they don't just, oh, okay, I'm just dating this guy and we're just holding hands. No, y'all are fucking. Sorry. Tomi Lahren is riding the cock carousel in one way or the other. And I say this in other videos as well. Just because a girl is dating a guy, does not mean she's not fucking him. If you're dating, or even if you're single and quote unquote not dating somebody, women are always fucking, because they're humans. They have a sex drive. We all have a sex drive, and we want to have sex every day. And women are no exception to that. And if you think that they are an exception to that, you've been fooled, because they are getting fucked every day by somebody. If it's not you, it's somebody else. Sorry to say, that's the truth. Okay, I think Tomi Lahren is sort of learning that, she might need a little bit more than her looks. She's sort of learning that, and she doesn't like it. She's like, damn it, I actually have to be a good person. Deep down in her subconscious, she probably is starting to realize that she needs more than just her hot ass and her career to attract the type of men she wants to attract. Or I should say, keep the type of men she wants to keep. And probably it's not going to work. It's not going to work out for her, right? She's probably going to end up with a beta, because sluts end up with betas. They end up with a beta provider eventually, because they don't get it. They don't understand that. They don't understand men. They don't understand how to treat men. They don't understand what men want. They don't understand that they have to have a good character. They don't understand that men don't want narcissistic, asshole, bitchy slut women. We don't want that. Okay, we don't want that, right? So, at the end of the day, I'm surprised she calls herself a conservative. I really am, because the way she's talking is not at all traditional values. I mentioned that, I think, in my first video. Her values are straight out of modern feminist playbook, right? I deserve everything. I'm entitled to everything because I'm a female. Hear me roar. Just doesn't work when we're talking about high quality men. Yeah, it'll work with the betas. Yeah, it'll work with the weak guys who are, have a scarcity mindset, who can't do any better than you, and they put you on a pedestal. Sure, it'll work with those guys. They'll do anything for you. You can manipulate and rule them behind the scenes, and I see that all the time, particularly in my city, Seattle, right? These guys thinking that they're running the show, and they're really not. These guys thinking that I'm the man. You're really not. The woman is running the household, because deep down, psychologically, the inner dynamics between your relationship, between your wife and between the wife and the husband, here is one of supplication. The man is supplicating to the woman in one way or another, and that's just the way it is here. So. And I'm sure that's the way it is in a lot of these major metropolitan cities, because liberalism is very popular, and it's what you get. It's what you get, man. It's what you get when, feminism. We're in third wave feminism now. Is there going to be a fourth wave feminism? I don't know. Right? What do women want next? They want everything. They want to rule. Now we might have a female vice president. I don't want a woman who menstruates. Of course, Kamala Harris is like 56, so she doesn't menstruate. But I don't want a woman who has mood swings. I don't want a female behind the button. Have you ever worked with a female? Have you ever tried to, have a, women are not objective. You can't have a discussion or a goal with a woman in order to get to a certain place, because her emotions will mix in there. Her emotions will come into play and ruin things. And yes, is there women leaders in the world? Sure. Are there successful women leaders in the world? Sure. But I don't know. Look at fucking Angela Merkel of Germany. Look what she did with letting all those refugees in, and kind of fucked her country a little bit, right? I don't know, man. Anyway, but that I can also trace to the liberal disease, that whole PC movement and all that bullshit, but I don't want to get into that here. We're talking about Tomi Lahren. My final point on all this is who is raising these women, right? And this is something I talk about a lot. You know, it takes a village, and how a woman really grows up is how her parents are, how her family is. And I believe that there's no power or discipline for young daughters or females in most families now. And there definitely wasn't in the 80s and 90s, because all those girls grew up in my generation. I didn't see many quality ones. I didn't see many ones who had good character. I saw everything that we're dealing with today in the red pill, right? The sluts, the carousel riders, the manipulators, the succubuses, the toxic, bipolar, borderline girls, the gaslighters, etc. This is all that I grew up with. This is all my generation grew up with, and that's why there's so many of us in the red pill. Right, so who's raising these women, right? Possibly the saddest part is Tomi Lahren, and maybe the most important point here is, she's talking about dating and she's not talking about love, right? These shouldn't be conflated, yet many women conflate dating and love. And this is because, again, they do not have quality parents. They do not, in the 80s, divorce was rampant, right? Divorce between 1960 and 1980, I believe, was basically doubled. I think it went from like 39% to like 59% or 69%. Not 100% sure on that exact number, but very high. It went from like, okay, that's almost half to well over half, to like the high 60s, I believe, at one point in the 80s and 90s. And then it sort of evened out around the 60s. But that's 1 out of every 2 marriages. That's literally half. Right? It's over half. 60% is a little more than half. I mean, come on, that's a lot of kids that are raised by shitty parents. That's a lot of kids that are raised by dysfunctional parents. It's a lot of kids who are raised from divorce. So this is what I'm saying. Who raises these kids? Who raises these women is, messed up parents, right? They don't teach a woman how to love, and they have this thing that's, this old dating culture, which you could even say is a hookup culture. Dating and hookup culture, it's really not a whole lot of difference there. I mean, sure, if you're dating a girl, like, you might be kissy and huggy a little more than just bang, bang, fuck up, sodomize her or whatever, right? But it's kind of the same thing. It really is. Not a whole lot of difference. The only difference is maybe if you're dating a girl, you might actually hold her hand, or you might actually take her out, to dinner, or you might actually take her out to a movie or something. Whereas hookup is just straight, okay, I'm gonna hit you up at 1 a.m. and come over, and that's what it is. But dating today, it's just vapid. It's ingenuine, full of games. Everybody's playing games. Women have multiple plates they're spinning. Men have plates they're spinning. Nobody's being truthful. Everybody's trying to be deceptive. Everybody's nobody's being transparent, which is what you're supposed to be. Because if you really want to love somebody, you really want to get into a quality relationship, you should be yourself. You should be transparent. You should be honest. But nobody's doing that, because everybody has an agenda. Everybody's playing games. Women are playing a game of like, I need to give sex so I can get this guy to be in a relationship with me, and the guy's saying I need to pretend like I want to be in a relationship so I can get sex, and it's all fucked up. It's fucked up both ways. Like, you're supposed to be transparent, both sides, and they're not, right? So, today's dating is usually just largely revolves around sex, full of games, vapid and genuine. And so many young women today think exactly like Tomi Lahren. They think their shit doesn't stink. They think they're entitled to men. They think that they should get the top quality men just because they're pretty, and that's not how it works, right? And the irony is they're not settling down. They're just dating around, and they eventually, get bored of the cock carousel, get burnt out, get an STD, get pregnant. Single mothers are an epidemic. I mean, Tomi Lahren who knows? She could have had abortions. I know she had plastic surgery, so she's lying about that. When a woman puts on makeup, she's essentially lying. She's saying, this is who I really am, but it's not. It's you with a bunch of makeup on. It's not who you really are. Take her swimming. That's who she really is, right? And this is pretty sad. Women have no real value when it comes to love. They don't know how to love, right? Women don't know how to love men. And do women know how to love, or do men know how to love women? What is love, right? I don't know, but I can tell you one thing: women do not know how to love men, especially when they think they're the prize, right? Oh, I'm the prize. Guys have to chase me. Guys have to do everything for me. Well, that's not love, right? That's just worship. You want worship. You want a guy to worship you. And that's why so many women are narcissistic, right? This is why Tomi Lahren is out there saying, oh, yeah, all men are trash. Like, you're trash and you just don't realize it because you're so narcissistic. So at the end of the day, what really keeps these guys settled to one guy, so what I always say is necessity for resources and security. It's what it always comes down to. Once she hits the wall, once she's done fucking around, she got to settle with somebody. So she just picks the guy who has the best resources, picks the guy who's the most stable, picks the guy who's the most amiable, picks the guy who's the most domesticated, picks the guy who is the most supplicating to her. And this is why you have these families where the woman runs the show and she's a tyrant, and the guy's just happy wife, happy life, ooh, running around like the king in Alice in Wonderland, trying to, oh, yes, dear, trying to supplicate to the tyrant wife of Queen female, right? And this is sad, and ironically, a large reason why women like Tomi Lahren are single is because they're not dating out of necessity. This is ironic. They're not dating out of necessity. They really don't need a man. If they did, then they would manipulate. If they did, then they would, settle down. If they were dating, if it was a matter of necessity, they would have settled 10 years ago. If it was a matter of necessity, they would have been married when they were 20, right? So it's not out of necessity. They don't need a man, which is what feminism tells them. Oh, you don't need a man, right? Which is basically saying you don't need love. Like, oh, just go fuck around. I mean, that's a subtle, evil, insidious way to, phrase it, right? Now, I always say that finances shouldn't be a prerequisite for love, but unfortunately, female nature or biology, whatever you want to call it, hasn't caught up to this. Love today is animalistic if it is based out of necessity, and women like Tomi Lahren don't need money, which is why they're spinning their wheels and not settling down. However, she does have that animalistic biology, so she's still seeking for a high top quality man of value with resources, but now she has high resources, so her hypergamy's through the roof. So in a way, it makes sense that she's mad, because the class and group of guys that she has a choice for is very, very small if she's a millionaire, right? So her standards should shrink and bend if her standards would shrink and bend if she really needed resources from a man. Like, she wouldn't be this narcissistic if she wasn't successful. She would adapt. And this is what I said earlier, and I argue that this is the real reason why many women do finally settle down, is because they need resources, because they need to, financially, they can't continue to go on the way they're going, or they have a kid and they're like, I can't do this by myself. I need a guy who's got money. I need more money. I need, and this is a major drive of women. This is why men like myself have stepped outside of the marriage option. Marriage is not an option for me because I know that it's attached to a dollar sign. It's attached to finances. If I don't have my finances right, a woman is not going to want to marry me. And I don't want no parts of that. I'm not going to work harder so I can get a woman. Like, that's weird to me. That's not right to me, right? So again, this has little to do with love, and we are not raising our women better than this. None of that has anything to do with love. Hypergamy is not love. Gynocentrism is not love. A female narcissist is not love. None of that is love. It's selfishness. It's animalistic, And this is why I stepped outside of the dating market. This is why I stepped outside of the marriage market, because it all has to do with my resources. It all has to do with my value as not as an intrinsically quality man, not as a man with good character, but as a man who's a high earner, as a man who has resources, a man who has means and abundance. And I don't want any parts of that. I don't want, I can't have love unless I'm successful outwardly. Like, sorry, I'm not interested in that. If you can't be with me when I'm a loser outwardly, when I have no money, then you don't really love me. And this is something that I say all the time. So for Tomi Lahren to say, I need a man of value, she's just proving that she's selfish as fuck. She's proving that she doesn't know how to love a man. And she's basically ignorantly telling on herself and telling the world why she's single. This is why you're single, because you are not manipulating men correctly. You think you're entitled to men, and many women out there have adapted. And yes, they're still hypergamous. Yes, they're still going to manipulate a man with sex and in intimacy for his resources, so they can use him and ride him like a horse. But they're smarter than Tomi Lahren, because Tomi Lahren told on herself, and she told everybody, this is why I'm single, because I'm a bitch, because I expect all this high value crap from a man, and no man wants to deal with that. And I'm mad that no man will kowtow, no high quality man, alpha man will kowtow and supplicate to me and bend to my whims and my wills. The end. Like, it's so obvious. Like, of course no one's gonna. This is exactly what men don't want, what quality men don't want. They don't want a dictator. They don't want someone to say, you need to do this, you need to do that, or else I'm gonna take my love away from you. And when I take my love away from you, you better not be a bitch. Like, that sounds like gaslighting. It sounds like you are a tyrant and you're using your love or sex, whatever the fuck it is you think you're offering, your high value, to manipulate us into doing what you want for yourself. And that is high quality bullshit. That is high quality bullshit. Can't say anything more about that. We should feel sorry for women like Tomi Lahren. And please, God, don't ever chase a woman like Tomi Lahren. Please do never think that Tomi Lahren or women like her are high quality. They are not. They're the opposite of that. They're very low quality. That's a very low quality woman right there. That's all I got to say, guys. Appreciate you listening. It's been Jay Lee, Northwest Podcast. Peace.